Hello, everybody who's joined this blockchain webinar conference. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon to you all, wherever you've joined from. My name is Sachin Bedi. I'm CEO for Signet Infotech. And I just would like to thank you all for taking your precious time today and joining the conference. I'm joining from the beautiful city of Princeton, New Jersey, and today this conference will be conducted by two of our key team members who are sort of our thought leaders on blockchain. And I would like both of them to introduce themselves.
Yeah. Hello, good morning, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Dr. Nilesh Modi. I'm working as the Vice President, Technology and Innovation. Uh, I'm also leading the blockchain practice here at Signet Infotech. And I have with me my colleague, Vignesh Soni.
Yeah. Good evening. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Vignesh Soni, working as a AVP Technology and Solutions with Signet Infotech. I have been associated with blockchain practices since quite a long time now, and working as an architect and principal consultant on many of the blockchain engagements. And that's pretty much it from my side. Over to you, Sachin.
Thank you. Great. So we're going to get started with our present. It's a mix of a presentation and a demonstration. We have a bunch of things to basically showcase today. What we plan to accomplish is to provide you all an understanding of blockchain as a technology and how it is changing applications, software systems, processes, the way people are kind of really doing business, and thereby causing disruption and in a good way, because of course it at the end of the day benefits all of us as the end users. Without much ado, let me get into the details of what we plan to discuss. We have a quick agenda for the webinar here. We're going to talk about, start off with Signet. We're not going to take too much time on this. Just a quick slide about what Signet is. We will move on to introduction to blockchain, evolution of blockchain, frameworks and technologies, demand drivers for this technology, applications, and sort of how and where these are currently being used worldwide. What is the opportunity framework here? And we would like to talk about some of our ongoing projects and prototypes that we have in place, and by giving you a touch and feel of how these applications are. About Signet, we are an 18 years young organization. We started off in the year 2000, pretty much in the dot-com boom, and we've actually always rode the wave of technology, the ups and downs, thick thin. Our focus is cutting edge products and solutions. We are close to about a team of 800 plus, solid people. Engineering strength of more than 650 plus. Again, as an organization, we are driven by development processes, and close to all our projects, I would say 99% of our projects are on HL technology. We currently serve more than 250 ongoing client engagements. There's always an up and down, but in the last 2 years we've been on the upstream, and we're currently serving close to about 29 countries. In the next part of the presentation, we intend to talk about blockchain, and I would like to hand this over now to our leaders, our experts. I feel Dr. We can take over and start talking about what blockchain is. And we will try to keep the discussion interactive between all of us, thereby trying to give each and every person's perspective on something that we feel is important for today's discussion. Over to you, Nilesh.
So let's get started. Really, let's demystify this technology. What is blockchain? Blockchain. When you look at it from technological point of view, I mean, there are a lot of complex layers there. But if you try to abstract it out, and if you try to understand at the high level, it's really very straightforward. Basically, it's a database, which has been validated by a large number of people in the community. It has a collection of records, and the people in the community give thumbs up to that collection of records. So basically, that's where the consensus is built. Right? Now, how does the name blockchain itself come? Right? So basically, there are a number of transactions which are taking place, and number of transactions uh, get merged or get combined in a block, and then each of these blocks get tied up with each other using latest state-of-the-art cryptographic protocols and hashing functions. So this is where the chaining component comes in. So basically, that's where the name blockchain has come from. Basically it's a chain of blocks. Now the entire blockchain is actually retained in a large number of nodes. So basically, all these nodes are different computers, or they can be on couple of computers. They all maintain the records or the replica of the same data. So this is where the decentralization as well as the replication comes in for blockchain. And I'll go into more detail of how it can be exploited or how it can be utilized. But let's focus on the blockchain, what it is really. So, it's really a shared distributed ledger that cannot be tampered with. So, it provides transaction level integrity and security. So, the protection layer that is built around each transaction, make sure that nobody can tamper with a transaction that has taken place or a block that has been made. So, if you want to change something, you have to add a new block or a new transaction. There is no way you can temper a record which is in there. So this is what gives blockchain a completely different dimension of security. Right? Then basically, where does the blockchain come in? The blockchain comes in for giving the trust to the system. Basically, you can eliminate a third party there. The peers, all the nodes which are part of a blockchain system, they form the trust among each other, and this is where the real power of blockchain comes out in its full fledged. So now let's look at the what is, what are different perceptions and what are different realities. So as we just discussed, blockchain can be considered as a distributed ledger technology. There are transactions that can be conducted without a middleman. So wherever there is a third party, whenever in any application, so these words, they specify exactly where blockchain can be used. So basically, wherever there is a third party, and there are two people who want to do transaction, you can use blockchain. Then the transactions themselves are verified and stored decentrally. So this is also another important feature of blockchain, as I mentioned earlier as well. So this works for the transaction level integrity, and then you have potential to automate any of the key processes, and that in turn translates to entire industries as well sometimes. So basically, this is where smart contract comes in. A smart contract is essentially a contract, but an automated done in an automated way. So there are if conditions, and then there are actions based on that. So if this gets done, then do this. So this is where another feature, another important feature of blockchain comes in. Now uh, if you translate all these jargons into the ground reality, how does it help businesses? How does it help new ideas emerge? How does it help a common person on the ground, right? So blockchain essentially is a new currency of trust. Right? So basically, it because of the trust being inherent in the blockchain itself, there are you can use blockchain to reduce the cost. You can eliminate a third party. You can eliminate the amount of time that is taken to do third party verification or consulting a third party. So this is where blockchain can be utilized as a currency of trust. Now, why is this a right time for blockchain technology to emerge? Because the socio-economic landscape, if you see everywhere in the world, the internet penetration is increasing, right? The connectivity between different people, different geographies is increasing, and then you have rise of digitization of payment solutions. So basically, different payment solutions are there which allow money transfer to be made faster. So, and you have regulatory environment, and you have a population which has been unbanked, and this is where blockchain can really come in and help an industry or a business. Now, let's look at where really blockchain comes in. So actually, a lot of people who are from Indian subcontinent, they have worked with one version of blockchain, and I'll ask Rignesh, who himself has done some work on this particular version of blockchain.
Yeah, so you're saying that I'm an ancient man who has actually worked on this. A lot of understanding comes from the Indian government implementation of the ledgers that we have been doing, and we call it a Bahi Khata. In that, what we usually used to do is that a person who is doing a business would have an account, a book, a ledger. We call Bahi Khata, as you can see on the screen in the red one. And we open up that page, and when we start writing the transaction, for example, I have bought a material of 100 rupees from or $100 from as a business. While making that booking, I will have two copy of that underneath that using a carbon paper. So when I will start writing my transaction state, I have booked $100 a business with me. It's an invoice level input which I'm doing. And as soon as I write it, I will create a two copy of it. One copy of it would go to my accountant, and another copy of it would go to the person who has actually made a business with me. And that's the way we actually used to distribute the ledger, and it goes to their appropriate teammates. Once, if I need to do any change in that transaction, or if I'm adding new value to that, these copies come back. I put it back to my ledger or my book, and then I again note down the transaction. It's again noted back into that specific copies of that, and it's again distributed back. So working on the distributed ledger used to be our traditional methodology, and it's not only me, our director, and who are pulling a lot of business onto that. He also himself used to write that. He has given us this concept that it's very simple and easy way to write and implement it, and that's how traditionally we understand blockchain the way it has been implemented.
Yeah. So
Just a point
there is,
uh, from my side. Sorry guys for
yeah.
interrupting, but just a quick point from my side. What a great metaphor, for us to all understand. So for all the audience who's joined in, uh, this is an example of showing how transactions kind of remain the same, how overall practice remains the same, but how does technology now changes all of that and facilitates it much better. So the reason for including this slide is just to say practices won't change. You see, transactions won't change, but how we do it kind of changes, and that's what blockchain today is kind of doing.
Yeah. So there is decentralization, there is data replication, there is consensus there. Now let's look at the blockchain in the modern world, right? And so we have a use case here which actually shows where and how blockchain works. So far what we discussed was theory. Here we have an example. So let's say person A wants to do a transaction with person B. In a blockchain, there are couple of nodes. So the blue ones here in the second circle, they are the nodes, right? Now, this person who wants to do the transaction, he broadcasts this request to all these nodes. There is validation that takes place. So there is basically there is a consensus algorithm there which makes sure that all the transactions which have been pulled into the network so far, they get verified, and then those transactions they get combined, and that forms a block, and that gets added to the blockchain. So this is how a long chain of blocks takes place, and the transaction becomes complete. Now let's understand few important technical part of it, details of it. So basically, why do we say that there is a transaction level integrity? So here, let's say you are working on block 91. So the entire blockchain, all the nodes are working on, let's say, block 91. But somebody, some miner, somewhere wants to change the transaction in block number 74. Now, why is this not possible? Because what happens is then that particular person who is trying to do a fraud there, he or she will have to modify all the blocks from block 74 to 90. And that's a lot of supercomputing power. I mean, that's very difficult. And then there is a consensus. So this is very difficult and then, I mean, practically impossible task to do in a real blockchain, in a public blockchain. Now, why does this happen? I mean, why? I mean, if you go one more level below, there are, so the right side here, the figure on the right hand side, it shows you exactly what happens when a transaction comes in. So there are four transactions: transaction A, B, C, and D. There is a hash value that is created from transaction A, then from B, C, and D. These hash values from A and B, they get combined to form a hash value of A and B. Then similarly C and D, and then they form a hash value that is for all the four transactions. So that is ABCD. This gets combined with the block hash of the block 10, and then you have a timestamp added and unknowns. Now these knowns gets added by a miner, or the successful miner, and this is how the dependency on the previous block comes in. So if you modify even a single transaction, if somebody modifies a single transaction in his or her own copy, that is very difficult to do. Right? So this is where real power of blockchain comes out.
Yeah. Just to interrupt over here,
Yeah, sure.
because you was just talking about the private and the public blockchain, I just wanted to understand what is the fundamental point to consider while opting for private or public blockchain.
So a public blockchain is basically a blockchain where anybody without any sort of KYC, any sort of validation can join in.
Mhm.
And the only real example that we have with us is Bitcoin.
Yeah, that's correct.
And a private blockchain is essentially a validated, a more filtered version of a blockchain. So basically, whoever comes into that private blockchain.
Mhm.
So let's say we are trying to form a private blockchain of let's say 5 or 6 entities. We would do a basic level of validation that okay, this guy I trust somehow.
Uh-huh.
So that's how they come in. So this is like a consortium.
All right.
Okay, so there is some trust factor there. Whereas in a public blockchain, absolutely no trust.
Yeah.
And as I said, the only real example, which is live working is Bitcoin.
Is Bitcoin. So fundamentally, when you're selecting a blockchain, it has to be a lot of consideration before going for a public or a private
Exactly.
blockchain.
So most of the enterprise level, business level applications would all come into private blockchain.
All right.
So we have some examples. When we go forward, we'll talk about that. So now let's look at the frameworks and technologies which are out there for blockchain. Essentially, so there is Bitcoin. There is a Bitcoin version of blockchain, and then Ethereum
Yeah.
is also another popular version of blockchain which came out improving on the Bitcoin's version of blockchain. Then you have Hyperledger Fabric, which is a joint collaboration between IBM and Linux Foundation. So Ethereum and Hyperledger Fabric are the main ones which are really being used right now for any application, any enterprise level application as well. Then you have something like multi-chain, JP Morgan Forum. Then you have Azure, which provides cloud services or blockchain level hosting services. And then you have Stellar. So multi-chain, Quorum, and Stellar are very specifically targeted for certain types of application. Multi-chain basically just lets you do the blockchain part, but there is no smart contract there. JP Morgan Forum that is specifically targeted for financial application where you want to maintain the privacy of each transaction that is taking place. So basically, I don't want the transaction to be visible to all the stakeholders in the blockchain. Then you have Stellar, which is essentially for currency part. Then you have different programming languages. You have standard programming languages like C, C++, PHP, Python, and .NET, obviously, Java. Then you have Solidity and Go, which are essentially meant for blockchain. And then you have different frameworks, front end and other technologies which come into helping this overall ecosystem.
Yeah. So just a question over here. So when we are going with the public blockchain and the private blockchain, considering these technologies, is blockchain really essential for enterprise? Why can't we do things without blockchain? So,
well, that's like asking, can we live without computer? Yes, you can.
Okay.
I mean, but then there are trade-offs, right? So similarly, you can do without blockchain, but then there are specific things which becomes super. I mean, there, blockchain really fits in, like where you want to eliminate a third party, as I said, where you want a transaction level integrity and security, and then you have a smart contract which really automates the transactions or the tasks that take place. So. And obviously, not to forget the distributed and the decentralization part.
That's one of the beautiful feature which is being enabled in the blockchain as a technology. So just in continuation with that, because we're on the technology side, now what are the parameters what enterprise application should consider? Because most of the enterprises want without blockchain, either a piece of it or a part of it, or it can be a complete blockchain-based implementation. What are the parameters to be considered while selecting a framework or a blockchain technology for them?
So in a way, blockchain is a still emerging technology, even though Bitcoin came out long time back. But the development part of blockchain, the frameworks are still emerging in a way.
Okay.
Right? But then there are frameworks like Ethereum and Hyperledger Fabric, which are very stable. So basically, there are few things which separates one from the other.
Okay.
So for example, Ethereum, they have their own network.
All right.
You can take your application there, you can host it on the Ethereum network.
So that becomes public network.
Yeah, more or less, so you can choose it to become public blockchain or a private blockchain there as well. Then Ethereum also provides a currency, a cryptocurrency they have.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can pay with it as well for your application.
Obviously.
Whereas Hyperledger is more suited. I mean, actually, it is targeted for private blockchain only.
Yeah, we have been doing that for some of our customers also. Yeah.
So there is no cryptocurrency they have. So it's essentially for application development part.
Okay. So typically, the answer that you're trying to give is that it depends upon the selection of what mode you want to roll out your application,
Exactly.
what mode you want your audiences to participate, and all those parameters are taken into considerations while designing public or private or selecting a technology stack for that.
That's correct. And this is where somebody with in-depth knowledge of blockchain comes in, and he or she or the company that is working, they can help you figuring out which framework to choose and what are your scalability aspirations, what are your throughput aspirations and things like that, and obviously not to forget the security part of it.
Okay.
Right? By the way, there is something called smart contract in Ethereum.
Yeah.
It's exactly the same thing in Hyperledger Fabric. That's called chain code.
All right. So they are just playing with the terminologies and jargons for us to really mug up those. All right.
Now let's look at the demand. We'll not go too much into this, but just to give you an idea, where the business demand is coming for blockchain. A lot of companies, a lot of businesses are using it as a, they want to go into blockchain to get competitive advantage. Then there are benefits. So there are people who know blockchain and then they want to use blockchain, right, in their application. Then there are few companies which want to try out. They want to be the like the leaders in their segment. Then there is competition. Some people, I mean, some businesses, in their industry, everybody else might have used blockchain, and then they are just catching up to the competition. And sometimes there is also fear that other people may come up with this, so then they want to use. So there are different parameters, because of which companies choose blockchain. Now let's look at the more practical part of blockchain. We have talked about theory, how blockchain works, and things like that. Now let's focus on really where is the money, right? So we have different areas where blockchain can be used. There is e-commerce. There you can have, across a lot of applications. You can have decentralized marketplace. We'll show some demo of that. A supply chain type of network where you want to increase the visibility of the item throughout the stakeholders. Where you want to search the goods by geolocation, and a lot of other things like warranties, customer management, managing receipts. You name it, and you can do it on blockchain. Then your real estates, where your properties, you want to search property, you want to list properties, you want to find out who is the owner of the property. There are a lot of different projects like that, which are going on, right? Loyalty programs, I just mentioned one, where you can tie it to some sort of crypto tokens. This is also something we have done. Then there is procurement part. Basically, you have entire procurement life cycle, and you can automate it using blockchain, and you can increase the visibility across stakeholders in procurement. Insurance, again, these are great examples. Insurance industry is going to be benefiting a lot from blockchain. There are a lot of examples, and we'll talk about some of the examples that we are working on. And there is healthcare. Again, you have multiple stakeholders there where you want to increase the visibility of information. So this is also somewhere where blockchain can come in. Now, let's look at how really. Yeah, your question.
No. Please go ahead.
So basically, let's look at where and how blockchain can be utilized, right? So generally, what happens is, since blockchain is an emerging technology, a lot of businesses are still catching up with it, and the requirements are not completely clear when it comes to blockchain, right? So what we do is, generally we have a design phase.
Yeah. Just to interfere over here, because we have Sachin with us. Sachin, a very quick question for you, because you have been traveling a lot, meeting a lot of customers, being part of conferences, and many details going out over there. Why doing discovery phase is important before moving towards the full-fledged solution?
I'm glad you asked that question, and this is very relevant to this slide, this subject. Um, as again, as a solution-oriented organization, we've actually realized in the past, um, before we could even come up with the best fit solution, the exact solution for our client, it's it's very important for us to understand the exact industry nuances or challenges that their business is facing. And that actually multiplies with the new technology like blockchain coming out. Blockchain has tremendous benefit. I mean, this is something that can obviously change things for those clients within days or months. And so during our discovery phase, we basically we propose a discovery phase before even recommending a solution on blockchain because our team wants to really understand what is the exact challenge that we're having happening. And during the
Yeah.
discovery phase,
So,
we basically understand.
so you're trying to put forward that the discovery phase gives all of the businesses an opportunity to really participate into what the anticipation can be to the next stage.
Absolutely, absolutely. And this could be explained a little better in through one of the use cases that we have in today's presentation. Maybe we'll tap on that when we talk about
Sure.
it. So we could actually elaborate this a little bit more on how discovery has been as a phase has been important.
Sure. Sure. Thanks, Sachin.
So you're that design phase, right? Sorry, design discovery phase,
Yep.
where you figure out the requirement, the technological aspects of it, and overall how blockchain can really benefit the problem on hand. Then you move on to the MVP or the prototyping phase, right? I mean, and then once that is done, you have all the requirements, all the clarity in your mind about how the solution is going to look like.
And also, the target audience.
Exactly. And you also know, the estimates. Yes, your estimates also become, accurate when you have done, this.
And you actually know the go-to-market timeline, that when you can hit it, how you can
Exactly.
address it, and what point in time you can get the participation and the best from your audiences, etc.
So, this is really where it hits the nail. Basically, even though you may feel like okay, you are wasting time in design discovery phase, actually it's the other way around. That really makes your entire solution timely, accurate, and the costs also get managed properly.
Yeah, and it gives overall transparency to what all your system is going to come out as a usability for the features as well.
So then, once you have done that, then the enterprise solution is just a projection of that prototype, right?
Yeah, so just towards the enterprise solution, because when it goes to the enterprise solution, it's more about taking it to the production, running it onto the production. Because blockchain is a new technology, a lot of people are learning, and because we have been doing it now since quite a long time. One thing which I'm sure a lot of viewers would be interested as well is what are the blockchain solutions capex and opex consideration towards production and maintenance?
So actually, really, it's a very good question, and basically, look, blockchain application, in a way, you can think of it like a normal application.
Yeah.
So whatever, whatever additional things like whether there is a security aspects like network security, you have physical security with you have basically application level security, database level security. All these things do have to be done. I mean, they have to be done regardless of whether you are looking at blockchain application or a normal application. So there is that. Then depending on how scalable, how decentralized you want to make your application, you can have a number of nodes.
Yeah.
Right?
So it also depends upon the geolocation consideration as well, right?
That's true.
How geolocation distributed information I wanted it to be, and how all different audiences should be participating, and then how decentralized environment we want the setup has.
That's absolutely correct. So in a sense, there is no difference in terms of capex and opex when it comes to blockchain application. You have to just treat it like a normal.
Yeah, but then I think for the capex portion, the complexity increases when we start introducing more number of nodes.
Yeah.
Right. And that increases my capex expectation. So initially, if I know my design phase is good, my discovery phase, and during my requirement and implementation phase, I should be almost clear that what is going to be my capex implementation while going into the production.
But then in a private blockchain, generally you don't want too much application either.
Yes.
So that's where the balance comes in.
Yeah, sure.
So now, yeah. Now let's look at some of the demos that we have. We have worked on different projects, and basically
Yeah, so I'll take you to two demonstrations from our side today. Those demonstrations are the live prototypes and the projects that we're working on. There are more projects and prototypes and the solutions that we have been working on. Some of them are into discovery phase, some of them we have delivered, some of them have completed the first phase. So, towards the end, Sachin and Nilesh would be explaining what all we are doing. I've just picked up a few solutions for the demonstration, and I will start with our own product called Signature. Signature has come out as an inherent signature solution where the documents, being used in a lot of fraternities. It can be into the legal fraternity, it can be into the fintech fraternity, any agreements, right? Any kind of agreements that we need to do needs a signing procedure. And when blockchain comes into the picture, the inherent DNA benefit of blockchain that we have gets real advantage. Yes, manifestation to that. So without wasting much time, I have quickly recorded a video of our solution just to ensure that we adhere to the timeline of this webinar. I'll quickly go through the solution that we have recorded as a video. So as you can see that this is now ready for the production. We'll be releasing it very soon. As you can see, you can register here as a user. The registration and post registration, you can have multiple features onto that, where you can register yourself with your geotagging, with your facial recognition, with your voice stamping, with your fingerprint stamping, and all those features that gives more authenticity to who are the users those are signing in. And then once I sign to the system, so I will log in as a user over here. And once I log into the system, I will have this dashboard that gives me the visibility as a user that number of documents I want the organization to participate for signing onto that. There can be multiple authorities who can sign over there. Then there can be multiple users who can participate into signing. Even we can have an observer, right? Who can observe that what documents are being signed.
Like a witness.
Yes, like a witness. And then they ensure that the right proceeding is happening with the right audiences onto that. So as you can see, number of unsigned, signed, and waiting for others users. So these are the quick statistics onto that, and then you can see unsigned documents, last updates as those are received on the document. Signed documents, those are actually signed by the users and completed. Now what we'll see is that, as you can see on the screen, that whatever documents are uploaded into the process, we have multiple filters. Some documents are still under progress, some documents are signed, and then what we'll do is now we'll just add one document and see how the process works on for the sign. Yep, I'm going to add one document, and this document is going to be for the rental service agreement, which I want multiple users to sign in, because I want the service agreement to be signed by the right authorities into the system. And what I'm trying to do over here is I'm trying to pick up a document. So it's my service agreement, and as you can see that I've selected two signers, one observer. So so user 3 is going to be observer, who's going to observe that what documents are being signed, and then there are signers. So user 1 and user 2 are going to be signers who are going to sign the document. Yes, I have attached the document, and then I can also secure if it's too confidential, and I do not want any information to be hijacked, even while if there is an interference in between, I can apply an end-to-end encryption to that as well. So I will apply an end-to-end encryption, and I want to make this URL public for users to view it. That's fine. So public would be an internal to the organization. And once I do a create document, it will create the document. So as you can see on the screen over here, this document has been created. Now that is unsigned. Yeah. And that's now practically open for signing for the user.
For the other signer
yes, to pick it up. So user 1 and user 2 that we have picked up, they are the real signers. So when they will log in, you will be able to see this document that yes, now these are the documents which are waiting for you to sign. Okay, as soon as I click on this document, it takes me to the very, very basic, simple process flow. And it's one of the beautiful design that I have been part of. When you see that this is the document, this is the original signature, this is an hash code of that, and then two signatures pending. So when I'm signing in, I know that there are two signatures which are to be associated to that. It's practically really simple, easy to understand that there are 3 users, 4 users who are supposed to sign this document. Uploaded time frames onto that, and then As you can see, who are the number of signers, what is the history of the documents, who is the observer, all of this into a one simple basic screen that makes it really simple for user to be part of it.
So one user just signed in.
Yes, so you just sign in, user 1 has signed in, and as you can see, the history has been stamped and first user has been signed in.
This transaction also gets recorded into the blockchain.
Yeah. Now, user 1 logs in. I'll just quickly run through to that. And so, as you can see, user 1, they are able to see the, they can go and they can complete their signing process as well. Once they complete their signing process, I'll quickly run through to this. Document has been signed by all the parties, and then the final notarization, where the final stamping of the documents, which generated document has been authorized, and we can see the certificate, the receipt of the certificate. And the feature that we are coming up with, I'm sure you're also aware what feature we are coming up with is about emailing those, having this certificate as a download, and all the authorities has the final certificate about, yes, this document has been signed by so and so person.
And then you have the live.
Yes, live of that. So this is how you'll be able to see the receipt, all the blockchain transaction history code onto that. So this gives 100% authenticity of what documents we are signing onto it. And yeah, now just one more feature that is coming onto it. It's about I have a document and I want to understand that who all users have signed this document. So I can select the document, throw it to the user interface that who all users have signed it. Yeah, there are some questions coming in between, and we'd just like to inform that towards the end of this session, we will be picking up your questions, answering your questions, and if in case because of the time stipulations, we are not able to address your question, we will ensure that you will get an email response, a written response to your questions. All right, so I'm coming back to the demonstration. As you can see that my renter service agreement, this is the digital footprint of the renter service agreement on my distributed ledger. This is my block ID, and this is my notarization date. These are the signers. So I have a 100% authenticity. Being into a litigation industry, being in a fintech industry, wherever an authorization is required, who all has signed that? It gives a 100% transparency of what is happening with my document signing.
So here, the only thing you need is that original document.
That's it. That's it. So this is one of the solution, which is a signature we are coming up with. We will be releasing this soon. It's almost ready for the production, and we'll be coming out with that. I will quickly move towards the next demonstration that we have with us, and that is for the food chain that we are working on with that. For food chain, basically, this came up as an idea from a customer. This is being used by a customer from United States. And what basically a food chain does is about, as you can see on the screen, you will have multiple users to log in. As you can see, a farmer, FDA quality checker, distribution center where it's been distributed, and then finally a retail store where you can buy those food for. It can be your crops, it can be your grains itself, whatever food you would like to sell. And
or meat item.
Yeah, or meat item, yeah, because there are a lot of frozen items being sold over there.
And for those type of items, you really want to track when it was, bred and from how many hands it changed.
Yeah.
And you want to get the complete visibility.
Yeah, absolutely correct. Absolutely correct. So just I will quickly run through the demonstration. I can log in as a farmer, and what I would like to do is I would like to add my item to the blockchain where I want FDA to authorize that yes, this is the grain quality grain that you have created, and they have authorized, they have verified that yes, this is what I've uploaded. What I'm going to do is I'm going to add an item over here. So I'll quickly run through this about adding the item. I'm adding wheat over here as a farmer in the United States, and I would like to upload an image of what kind of quality crops I've created, and I will save it. So this will create the first block,
and this can be any information.
Yes, it can be any information, right? So and this is the first phase which we are working for the customer, right? So they have completed the first phase. We'll start with the second phase for them soon. But then, as you can see, the transaction hash has been created that shows that it has been logged into the blockchain. So the Genesis block for this has been formed.
Correct.
Yeah. So now, as you can see, I will now log in as an FDA quality checker because this is recorded for the demonstration. I'm not logging out and logging in. I'm switching myself as an FDA quality checker, and I would like to update the item. So I will pick up the item which I would like to verify, and then go into the blockchain, provide the transaction history onto that, and see that yes, I have verified onto it. So I'll quickly run through this about what we have done onto it. And remarks and says a good quality tested and verified over here. So I'm an FBA quality checker and verified this, and I've saved. As you can see, the hash has been logged, transaction has been confirmed. Similarly, it's going to be happen for the distribution center and similarly a retail store as well. So I'm a distribution center user. I would like to add it to it, and then I have checked it. Yeah, I'm fine with that. This is what I have verified personally onto it, and I will log the transaction code here. And then again, it goes to the retail store. There also they can provide they can update the item. So you will have all the authenticity of all these transactions starting from the start to end about what all, or who all parties have participated in the verification of the product.
This is a great thing for a customer.
Absolutely correct. And customer is always sure what they're buying. And one of the beautiful feature of the system is, as you can see over here, is that once a retail store adds this, yep, it's a good quality and it's done and it's update. As soon as I update, I will have an hash over here, transaction has onto my blockchain. But what we do into the system is create a QR code, an automated QR code over here, and a mobile application for the user. So I'm a user, I'm walking into a retail store. I will just pick up the item, scan the QR code, and see all my transaction history. Yes, I can definitely back on this product and I can buy this product.
So now you can be sure that apple that you bought is really from Washington DC or not, right?
Yeah, we have a lot of Washington Apple which sold by a Washington Apple name. Okay, and that's for the blockchain portion. As you can see, once I click on the item over here, you should be able to see the number of transactions. So this shows that it started from over here, a farmer who has inserted it as the first block, and the second block and the third block where it is verified, and then Walmart is running the retail store who are going to use this. So when I scan it, I'm able to see all the transaction history over there. Likewise, there are other systems and other products that we have done. Understanding the time constraints, I would limit ourselves to the number of demonstrations to be shown. So I have one more.
Just on this specific demonstration, for everybody's consideration, all our participants' consideration, I just really want to give it the right name. So this, as a blockchain-based solution, we are trying to recall this as a seed to shelf tracking. Right from the time the crop was a seed to how it was grown, who grew it, and then the entire journey to how it really ended up at the shelf is a seed to shelf sort of journey tracked with blockchain. It has interesting avenues to come in the future.
Yeah, and thanks Sachin for adding those information, and that's really important and really apt information to use with. Because of time constraint, I'm not running the third demonstration, and we can continue with our presentation onto that. So we are now moving to the use cases of what all different solutions we are working on, and a lot of projects, so we can go on and on and on, but because we have the limited time frame, we'll list a few of the projects as part of the implementation. So blockchain-based energy trading marketplace, Nilesh, you has been part of this from starting of the inception, creating a paper onto that, writing a research paper from that. That's where you have initiated the journey with. So what's your experience working on this?
So this is one problem where blockchain is perfect fit. So you have a cryptocurrency there, which gets traded between different stakeholders. Like you have the company which is providing the solution, then you have different electricity generation companies, and then you have prosumers and consumers.
Yeah.
Right. So people who are producing the energy. So this is an ideal solution for this type of problem.
Yeah.
Basically, whoever has surplus energy, they can go to the other person who wants that energy or that electricity, and then they can trade.
You'll be using that at your home as well, right? Yeah. So you're using it day in and day out.
So basically creating a marketplace using blockchain where the entire thing from start to end gets done through blockchain.
Wow.
So you have people who want to sell energy, then you have people who want to buy. They bid using Victory auction, and the currency which gets traded is really the cryptocurrency or the different types of tokens which are out there. And then you have smart contract, which really makes sure that once the basic transaction, the exchange has taken place, you have the money getting into the hands of the seller, right? So all that gets done using blockchain.
Wow. And then similarly, other applications that you're working on?
Yeah. So then you have this standard, cryptocurrency exchange, right? I mean, a lot of people, I mean, that's where they start hearing about blockchain, right?
Yeah.
So you have cryptocurrencies, which you want to exchange on that platform. So we also
So
have
multiple cryptocurrencies
exactly.
being traded,
like Bitcoin, Ether, you name it. I mean, Dogecoin, Litecoin. There are so many different cryptocurrencies which are out there.
Yeah.
And here in this particular project, we are creating an exchange platform where you can do the trading.
Yeah.
Then you have something which is like goes into that ICO, initial coin offering kind of work, where you really want to generate new cryptocurrency or smart tokens for your client.
Yeah.
And we have also done some projects in this domain where the client was a big credit society,
Yeah.
and they wanted to come out with these cryptocurrencies so that they can give their users or their customers something to trade with.
Yeah.
So that's where we have created this platform. The fourth one here on the bottom right is clinical chain. This is again a very good example of how blockchain can transform a problem.
Okay.
Right? So you have different stakeholders like drug manufacturer who wants to do a clinical trial.
Yeah.
Right. Then you have clinical trial coordinator. Then you have hospitals, patients. Then you have FDA which approves the clinical trial. All these different stakeholders, they come onto this blockchain.
Yeah.
Again, this is like private blockchain. They have visibility of records, information, what are the criteria for the clinical trial to be approved, and the selection criteria, what are the what are the types of patients or health situations you want to select, and then using this you can also eliminate a lot of frauds, because a lot of times in clinical trials frauds happen. Just to suit the results, people change the previous outcome. So that is not possible using blockchain.
Just to point over here, I was having a question about minings, because this kind of solutions require some of the mining efforts. Now, mining becomes important when we are going for a public blockchain. That's what we understand. But should we really have miners or minings while opting for a private blockchain?
So mining becomes essential when you have no trust between different stakeholders. Okay? Whereas in all the enterprise level business applications, you have brought those people in, so you have some level of trust.
Yeah.
So mining is really an overkill there.
Yeah.
So you don't want to do mining, you can just get that same thing done using a simple consensus algorithm there.
Yeah.
So mining is not required for any private blockchain.
Okay. Okay. Got it.
Because again, mining is a very expensive
resource
task.
intensive,
Exactly.
expensive task. Moving to the next portion, Ibiza and a big bang. I'm sure Sachin would love to talk about that, and Neeraj and Sachin are, they have been having a lot of inputs and concept onto that. And Sachin, we would really like to hear about what is an Ibiza and Big Bang that you're working with.
Sure, definitely. So I won't take too much time, a couple of minutes on this, but Visa is a very prestigious project overall and also for Signet. Visa means inclusive blockchain insurance using space assets. In a nutshell, it's actually a decentralized marketplace for mutualized index-based risk linked to crops, geographic locations, or environment conditions, basically aimed at reducing, the exposure, reducing the risks that smallholder farmers have kind of worldwide. So this project basically Signet is involved in through its partners, Bitbank, that is actually an excellent group of individuals. It's a company made of these excellent group of individuals based out of Luxembourg, and they are partners. In fact, we are their partners. This project is being led by Bitbank, and so what they're doing is they're actually building a peer-to-peer decentralized micro insurance service, which is specifically designed for small old farmers. And this project actually leverages, it's a so-called risk sharing, as well as it's a project that is sort of sponsored by ESA, which is the European Space Agency, and it uses the power of blockchain as a technology and the wisdom of the crowds, and through these two combinations, it significantly lowers the cost of insurance for those farmers. And these farmers, basically close to about 500 million plus, agree entrepreneurs that are basically going to be covered through this network. It's something in the making, and we're very, sort of delighted to be a part of this project as Bitbank's development partner and already engaged in terms of developing this solution for them. And we should be able to see uh, an MVP coming out in the next 3 to 4 months if all things go right. And in a certain way, this is how technology is going to benefit with some social cause also, has a tremendous impact on the lives of these farmers who kind of are in financial distress because of whatever geographical conditions, environmental conditions, and is going to protect them in a certain way, and thereby maintaining still kind of maintaining the ecosystem overall. So that's a little bit about Visa as a project. We'll probably discuss more in some of the later webinars, maybe a detailed webinar on this.
Yeah, and Sachin, also the podcasting industry, you've been very closely associated with that solution that we have been designing. Something onto that.
Absolutely. So this is another, really exciting project on blockchain that we are working on. Our customer is one of the sort of market leaders on podcasting, podcast hosting as a market, as an industry. Overall, podcast as a total market size is close to about $400 million, and they're one of the market leaders. They have close to about 45,000 podcasters coming in, using their platform to host their podcasts. And the business that this client of ours is into is actually to bring in advertisers and podcasters on the similar platform and allow them to sort of do the trade, and they're the ones who are the enablers to that. And advertisers pick up spots on podcasts for podcasters and promote their end customers' products on these podcasts. And the challenge that they really had was twofold. Number one, that this was not a very efficient platform for them to conduct the transaction. It would have a lot of users. There are a lot of middlemen that basically come in through the advertisers, and in a certain way, it's not a very efficient technology solution. Number two, the payment cycle was close to 120 days. And so we got started. We're talking to them about using blockchain instead of their current platform, and we are in the making of this solution right now, which is going to be completely based on blockchain. It's a private blockchain. It's a marketplace in a nutshell, and this will now allow podcasters as well as advertisers to kind of transact freely using all the excellent benefits that blockchain as a technology.
Wow, that's really, really great. And just quickly moving forward to the last two solutions, Nilesh, that we have. Something to add from your side to that.
So blockchain-enabled compliance system. Blockchain provides you know s- next level of security for transactions. Right? So you can use blockchain, and exactly that's what we are doing for this particular client. You can use blockchain to maintain your audits. You can use it for signing, as we've seen, right? You're signing a document, and then documents between two entities, right? So that entire thing is possible using blockchain.
Yeah.
So this is what we are doing for this particular client, which is one of the biggest cyber security companies
Okay.
in the world, and they have this requirement that they want to get all these things done using
Yeah.
blockchain.
Again, this is our United States-based customer.
Exactly.
Yeah. And
And
then on insured chain.
yeah, so these I like some of these problems because they are, I mean, they just excite you.
Yeah.
So this is also one such problem where you have a lot of cryptocurrency exchanges getting hacked, wallets getting hacked, and this solution. I'll not go into too much detail because this is
Yeah.
very confidential to the client that we are working on. But what we are trying to do is ensuring clients against these type of problems. So whenever you have frauds, whenever you have hacking taking place,
Yeah.
that's where this particular solution kicks in and helps the people who are who have been affected to
Sure.
recover their dues.
Sure, sure. So I can take it over from here. Thank you, Nilesh. And that's pretty much it from our side, Nilesh and Vignesh. Sachin, a closing from your side, please.
Well, just want to thank everybody who's basically joined this webinar. I understand everybody's time is very precious, so thank you for taking all the time. I just only hope we've been able to give you good use of your time and provide an understanding of what blockchain technologies and what Signet can do to help you or your customers uh, evaluate blockchain for their challenges, for their problems at this time. Please feel free to reach out to us. We have our contact details available on our website. We will also follow this webinar by sending a thank you note and giving you all the details. We're open to questions. We have a few minutes for that. If there are any questions, please you can type it out on your screen and we will try to answer those.
Yeah.
So, so we have a few questions here. And actually some of the questions are really, really very interesting. So it's hard to pick a few of them.
So we'll pick up the first question.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll pick up the first question that is from Carl, Mr. Carl. And the question is that tell us about the financial revenues of these market players. So the market players that we are working with, they are asking what is the revenue or size of this player. So Sachin, if you can just pick up this answer.
Sure. At this time, most of the clients that we're working with, I would say, are mid-sized organizations. In terms of revenue, their individual revenue would be, let's say, in the range of about, $100 million plus. But they're not really large-sized organizations. The projects that we are working on are in the range of about, $200,000 to about $1 million. It's a pretty broad range, but those are the kind of range that exists for solutions. I hope that answers the question.
Wow, that's great. And there are too many questions. We're just going to pick up in the sequence that we have received the question. And the second question that we received is, what is double a span attack in blockchain? This is asked from Mr. Divyang Desai. So if you can take this up, Nilesh.
So double span, as the name says, the same transaction or the same money or the means of the transaction gets used twice.
Okay.
Okay. So in this particular problem, basically, there are different recovery mechanisms which are out there.
Okay.
Consensus algorithm, mining is there. All these things in a blockchain technology, it ensures that this double span attack doesn't happen.
Yeah.
So there are some safeguards which are out there inside the technology. I'm not going into too much detail because it involves a lot of hashing and cryptography knowledge there, and we don't have time for that. But this is what exactly this problem.
And just to continue, because he has another question also, is these examples that we have shown is working with a private .NET or the mainnet? So most of the examples those are on the private blockchain implementations that we have done, right? Only the cryptocurrency exchange is more interaction with the public blockchain.
That's correct.
Yeah.
So, the thing is that this private net or mainnet, this question comes in the context of like Ethereum only.
Okay.
Hyperledger Fabric, everything is private.
Okay.
In Ethereum, you have a private network, you have a main network, and then there is something also in between, which is like a test network. So before going to the main network, you test your application there, and then you take it to the main network. All these applications that we saw, they are all private blockchain examples.
Okay. Got it. Yeah. So there are more questions, but just understanding the time frame, guys. Thanks a lot for participation, and we will definitely revert to your questions or an email. Sachin, if you'd just like to do the closures.
Again, thank you for your time, and we will have a series of webinars coming up, and we will keep you all informed about it. And we will try to now pick up more themes within blockchain and try to focus those webinars on those themes. Thank you from Signet.
Yeah, thank you all. Thanks a lot for coming up, and thanks for your time. We'll definitely revert back with the questions, and we'll send the presentations that we have shown over here as a code letter to that email. Thank you all. Thanks for your time.